Hello all, welcome to another quick learning. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be doing some Codecademy learning, doing some SQL just to give you some examples, to kind of give you guys some practice and help you get some confidence in your SQL abilities. So if you go to codecademy.com, you can set up a username and such. It's pretty easy. You can use your Gmail or your Facebook login as well. And then they have a lot of these intensive and pro upgrades that they're trying to sell, which is fine. I'm not against that. But if you go, it's kind of hard to navigate to the free stuff. So I would say just go to codecademy.com/learn/learn SQL once you've logged in. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. So I haven't done this before, so we'll see how well I do myself. So Introduction to SQL. SQL Structured Query Language is a programming language designed to manage data stored in relational databases. SQL operates through simple declarative statements. This keeps data accurate and secure and helps maintain the integrity of databases regardless of size. The SQL language is widely used today across web frameworks and database applications. Knowing SQL, blah, 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 blah. All right, so let's do some of the exercises here. Let's begin by entering a SQL command in the code editor. Type select star from celebs. All right, that's pretty easy. So I'm just copying it as it is, but you do not need to capitalize all this. SQL is not case sensitive. Let's go ahead and run this. And it looks like here I got the results. And it looks like, so I got the green check, so it looks like I completed that, and the next button is now available. Alright, so relational database, nice work. In one line of code you returned information from a relational database. Take a look at what the code means soon. For now, let's focus on what relational databases are and how they are organized. Relational database is a database that organizes information into one or more tables. Here, the relational database contains one table. Table is a collection of data organized into rows and columns. Tables are sometimes referred to as relations. Here, the table is celebs. A column is a set of data values of a particular type. Here, ID, name, and age are the columns. So you can see here in the database schema, ID, name, and age, and the types are integer, text, and integer. And you'll see in the table an ID of 1, a name of Justin Bieber, age of 22. So they're talking about this first row here. All data stored in a relational database is of a certain type, data type. Some of the most common data types are integer. So we're talking about whole numbers, a positive or negative whole number, text, a text string. So like Beyonce Knowles or Justin Bieber, Jeremy Lin, those sorts of things. Date formatted as, so this is a 4-string year, two characters for the month, and then 2 characters for the day. And real is a decimal value, also known as a float in some cases. Okay, I guess that was just text they wanted us to read. So the code below is a SQL statement. A statement is text that the database recognizes as a valid command. Statements always end in a semicolon. Yes. So once it hits a semicolon, the database engine knows that that's the end of the statement. Let's break down the components of a statement. Create table is a clause. Clauses perform specific tasks in SQL. By convention, clauses are written in capital letters. Clauses can also be referred to as commands. Table name refers to the name of the table that the command applies to. In this case, it was the celebs table. If you remember that, it was select star from celebs. Column 1, data type. Column 2, data type. Column 3, data type is a parameter. A parameter is a list of columns. Data types are values that are passed to a clause as an argument. Here, the parameter is a list of column names and the associated data type. Structure of SQL statements vary. The number of lines used do not matter. A statement can be written all on one line or split up across multiple lines if it makes it easier to read. In this case, you will become familiar with the structure of the common statements. Now that you have a good understanding of the SQL syntax, let's create a new table in the code editor type. All right. So it's having us do a create table command. So we're creating the table named celebs, and then inside of that, we're doing an ID column, what we're calling integer. We're doing a name column with the text data type, and an age column with, again, an integer data type. So if we run that, so it created the table, and that's got the green check, so that's completed. And go to next. Create. So create table, celebs, we did that. This create statement creates a new table in the database named celebs. You can use the create statement anytime you want to create a new table from scratch. Create table is a clause that tells SQL you want to create a new table. Celebs is the name of the table. Blah, blah, blah. This is kind of information we already went over. Add a row to the table in the code editor type. So we're doing an insert statement to add a row into so the celebs table that we created already. And the columns that are going to be are these columns, and the values that we're going to put into those columns. So the values have to be in the same order as you put up here. 1. So this is an integer value, so you do not need the quotation marks. Justin Bieber is if I can spell it right, a text, so you need the quotation here, which is an apostrophe actually. And then 21, again, that's an integer value, so you don't need the apostrophes as a quotation mark. If we go ahead and run that. All right, so we inserted a row, and then it wants us to view that row, so I'm going to delete this, and it just wants us to run that select statement. So the select statement, when we use this asterisk, that means it will pull all the rows from the table celebs. Do not remove the, all right. We'll do Control Z to go back. A little too much, so Control Y. So it wants me to keep that. I'm just going to copy and paste it actually. There we go. All right. So it ran the insert statement and then it ran the select statement, and this is the output from the select statement, which is just one row at this point. All right, insert. So insert into celebs. The insert statement inserts new rows into a table. You can use the insert statement when you want to add new records. Insert into is a clause that adds a specified row or rows. Celebs is the name of the table the row is added to. ID name, age is a parameter identifying the columns that the data will be inserted into. Values is a clause that indicates the data being inserted. And this is the data that's going to be inserted. Blah, blah, blah. 1 is an integer that can be inserted in the ID column, so on. So it just inserts these values in the same order that is there in the column names. So what they want us to do is add 3 more celebs to the table in the code editor. I'm not going to type this all out. I'm just going to copy and paste. So again, so it's the same format, insert into. This is the table name, which is celebs. These are the column names that are in that table, and these are the values that are going to be inserted for those columns. And they've done it 3 times with 3 different values. And I got the green check, so it looks like everything's fine there. Let's take a closer look at select under the insert statements type. select name from celebs. So before we put the star there, in this case we're just putting one column name in, so it's just going to return the name. So it's going to return Beyonce Knowles, Jeremy Lin, Taylor Swift, and Justin Bieber, I assume, from the last one where we inserted that. Yeah, and that's what we got. Select, okay. Select statements are used to fetch data from a database. Here, select returns all data in the name column of the celebs table. Select is a clause that indicates that the statement is a query. You will use select every time you query data from a database. Name specifies the column to query data from. From celebs specifies the name of the table to query data from. In this statement, data is queried from the celebs table. You can also query data from all columns in the table with a select. And they show you the star is a special wild card carrier that we have been using. It allows you to select every column in a table without having to name each one individually. Here the result set contains every column in the celebs table. All right. Now that you know how to add rows to the table, let's edit a row in the code editor type. Okay, so we're doing an update statement here. So we're going to update the celebs table. We're going to set the age column equal to 22. And the where is very important for the update statement, because if you don't put in a where, it's going to update, in this case, the age of every row to 22. So we only want to specify age ID 1, which is the Justin Bieber row. So it's going to change Justin Bieber's age to 22 in the database. So there we ran that. Update. So the update statement edits a row in the table. You can use the update statement when you want to change existing records. Update is a clause that edits a row in the table. Celebs is the name of the table. Set is a clause that indicates the column to edit. Age is the name of the column that is going to be updated. 22 is the new value that's going to be inserted. Where is a clause that indicates which rows to update with the new column value. Here the row with a 1 in the ID column is a row that will have the age updated to 22. So now they want us to add a new column to the table in the code editor type. So we're altering the table. So you give it the statement alter table, and then you give it the table name, so it's celebs in this case. And then the action that we want to do is add a column, and I guess we're adding a column named Twitter handle, and it has the text data type. And that's the end of that statement because we have the semicolon. And then I guess we're going to run the select star to see what changed in the table. So if we run that, you can see we have the table the same as before, except now there's another column called Twitter handle, and you can see these kind of zeros with a line through it. It means that these are null values. And null just means it's empty. Alter. So the alter table statement adds a new column to the table. You can use this command when you want to add columns to a table. Alter table is a clause that lets you make the specified changes. Celebs is the name of the table that is being changed. Add column is a clause that lets you add a new column to the table. Twitter handle is the name of the new column being added. Text is the data type for the new column. Null is a special value in SQL that represents missing or unknown data. Here the rows that existed before the column was added have null values for this Twitter handle. So this represents null, I guess. And sometimes when you pull some databases, it'll just say null. Update the table to include Taylor Swift's Twitter handle in the code editor. Okay, so we're going to do an update. So we're going to update this Taylor Swift Twitter handle right here. So we're updating the celebs table that we've been working on. We're setting Twitter handle equal to, because it's the text field, we need the apostrophe around the statement at Taylor Swift 13, where ID equals 4. So the where clause is saying we only want to update this row because the ID equals 4. And then we're just going to see the result after those changes have been made. Let's run that. So you can see here we've updated that Twitter handle there. And then there's another part. Delete all the rows that have a null value in the Twitter column. Replace your code in the code editor with the following. Okay. So it looks like we're keeping this, and then we're creating a delete statement. Where Twitter handle is null. So the delete statement is going to look for each row where the Twitter handle is null from the celebs table. So in this case, it's going to be these top 3 rows. It's just going to delete these 3 rows. And the only row that's going to be left is the Taylor Swift row here. Oh, I guess I forgot to put the select statement in here. There we go. All right, delete. The delete from statement deletes 1 or more rows from a table. You can use the statement when you want to delete existing records. Delete from is a clause that lets you delete rows from a table. Celebs is the name of the table you want to delete rows from. Where is a clause that lets you select which rows you want to delete. Here you want to delete all rows where the Twitter handle column is null. So instead of saying equals null, you use is null. That's one thing to know. Is null is a condition in SQL that returns true when the value is null and false otherwise. All right, so it wants to create a new table with constraints on the value and the code editor type. Looks like I already have that in the code editor. It looks to be the same to me. So it's creating a table called awards. The columns it's creating is ID with an integer data type. In this case, it's creating that ID as a primary key, which means that this cannot be duplicated. So it'll pull an error if any time we try to add a row that has the same ID. And then we're doing a recipient field column with the text data type, and we're saying that cannot be null. So there will be an error if we try to insert or update a row to a null value for that column. And then award name, text, and we're going to put in a default apparently, which is Grammy. So if we try to add a row and we don't specify what the award name should be, it's going to be Grammy. Constraints. Constraints that add information about how a column can be used are invoked after specifying the data type for a column. They can be used to tell the database to reject inserted data that does not adhere to certain restrictions. Primary key columns can be used to uniquely identify the row. Attempts to insert a row with an identical value to a row already in the table will result in a constraint violation, which will not allow you to insert the new row. Unique columns have a different value for every row. This is similar to primary key, except that a table can have many different unique columns. Not null. Columns must have a value. Attempts to insert a row without a value for a not null column will result in a constraint violation, and the new row will not be inserted. Default columns take an additional argument that will be the assumed value for an inserted row if the new row does not specify a value for that column. Okay. Click next. Generalizations. All right, congratulations, you've learned 6 commands. So it's just kind of going over what we learned. So we did a create table, we did an insert into, we did a select, an update, an alter table, and a delete from. So now it wants me to upgrade, but I'm not going to do that. So anyways, we'll just end it there. Hope you guys were able to follow along and you learned something about SQL. Thank you very much.